Welcome everyone to today's Pranic Healing Podcast. This is our first English podcast for this series, and I'm honored to introduce our special guest, Ritesh Raj Gurung, a dedicated and lifelong student of Theosophy and Pranic Healing. With a deep passion for ancient wisdom and healing arts, he has spent years studying and practicing the principles of Pranic Healing and Theosophy. Please join me in welcoming our Pranic healer, or in his words, an instrument of pranic healing, whose humble approach and vast knowledge will surely enlighten and inspire us today. It is worth noting that he's one of our most requested guests, so we are thrilled to have this experience with him. Welcome, Ritesh, for the podcast. Thank you for coming.
Hello, Jashi. I didn't know that my mom's back dancing in the background. So I didn't know I was a requested guest. So, hopefully, whatever topics that we discussed today, I may be able to shed some light with my insights on the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, and you're the most requested one. So, Ritesh, you have been a healer for the past 10 years and possess extensive knowledge of Theosophy. Why do you consider yourself an instrument of healing and wisdom rather than embodying healing and wisdom itself?
Well, I don't think I have a comprehensive knowledge on Theosophy. I just begun from, I think, 2020 when
Okay.
there was the pandemic and we were doing sessions with Master Hector. I learned this from my mother, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Say that healing happens because you're an instrument, and the great ones, they work through you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. So whenever I used to, let's say, provide healing sessions in that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
the healings used to be very rapid and miraculous, right? So I think the
Yeah.
psychotherapy specialize in dealing people. I mean, providing sessions on psychological cases, right? People with
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, people like low self-esteem issues. So I've noticed that in 2 to 3 weeks they tend to get better. So I think 2 to 3
Okay.
weeks into three, that's nine sessions, 7 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be, the major understanding is that you are providing sessions with the understanding that you're just an instrument and the divine beings and the guru are working through you rather than you're doing it. So that's one of the understandings that was quite instrumental, and that's something I learned from my mom, who's also a prodigy in pranic healing, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, she gave
Yeah.
me the same advice, but sometimes I forget. But sometimes during the healing, like all of a sudden, I remember her face and I remember, oh yeah, she taught me this. Because I think it's one thing like learning from the book, that's also very powerful. But when you see pranic healers actually implementing it, I think that's really inspiring. And yeah, like we are an instrument because these teachings, like they're so complex. There's no way we could have. Maybe we could, like in our lifetime, but it would have been very difficult to gather all this information. But now all we have to do is follow a protocol.
Mhm. I think it took Master Cho more than 20 years to develop advanced pranic healing. I might be wrong, but you can
Yeah.
check the books.
Yeah.
Imagine like if you had to, if we had to develop something like pranic healing, I don't think it would have taken us lifetimes, right? So yeah, I'm grateful that we have the teachings. It's very simple. It has a very cookbook approach. So yeah, having that understanding does help you know a lot of things, actually, not just healing. Even
Yeah.
This was a very weird situation in the office. I was working, and there was this project or this use case that I was working on, and I couldn't figure out the solution. And I just
Yeah.
prayed by saying, "Hey, God, I need. Could you bless me with divine light in this situation?" And I got the solution 5 minutes later, so which was quite magical.
Yeah, it is quite magical. But with those, like, I think sometimes like people kind of misunderstand when I say that, okay, I'm receiving guidance from God. They feel like the God is coming and giving me all my life details. So how would
Yeah,
you say,
so
like, when you receive blessings, like, or guidance from Him, like, in what form is it in?
it's rather difficult to explain because it's more
Yeah.
intuitive knowledge, right? So you directly know what to do.
Mhm.
So again, intuition or knowing, direct knowing doesn't have any basis. You just know, right? So there's no,
Yeah.
say, quantifiable matrix as to why you know it, but you just know. So, I mean, I don't tell people at the office that I'm praying to God. I just mentally make a note, and then the answers, they come through.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So it's quite difficult to explain how you know. It's just you know, right? So that's how it works.
Yeah. So we talked about Master Choa, and if you could think of one more personality in Theosophy that really inspires you, and why should we believe anything that they have said?
I mean, if you read the Alice Bailey books, there's the foreword in all the Alice Bailey books are the same, where Master DK, he says that he's at that stature because he has walked in the path longer than we have, and the books should not be taken into account as inspired writings, but you know, just for us to again discern whether it's the truth or not, and only accept it when someone greater in stature, let's say a great spiritual teacher, says it's the correct basis of understanding, right?
Okay.
So even of a books, they're just theories or philosophy on how our solar system functions on a spiritual level.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So it is supposed to be discerned and then only much later taken into account. So, I mean, Master Hector says that you read these books, and if you end up discerning or accepting or validating some of the truths, that okay, I mean, you take it as it is. But if you are not able to, it's fine, because you know you read it and it's body or mental chakras.
Before, like whenever I used to think of spiritual teachers or even Theosophy, I used to think it's more of a philosophy. But now I know that even Pranic Healing and Theosophy is also a science. Is it a science?
Because it's science. What is science, right? Let's break that down. Science is something that if you experiment it on at different ages or different periods, the results are the same, right? For example, if you look at pranic healing, if you apply the protocol for a headache for a control group of people, you tend to notice that they tend to get better, right?
Yeah.
Clean the chakras of the head, clean the affected area, and then energize, right? So because of those validations in a control group, I would like to think that pranic healing is a science, right? Because it defines what our modern age's definition of science is. Don't know about theosophy, because again, that forward by Master DK simply states that he actually doesn't care whether it's validated or not, right? It's just for the disciple to read, and then again, the same process, much so to discern, reflect on, meditate on. And if a great being or a great evolved soul comes to you and says, okay, these teachings are correct, then you accept it as it is. If not, it's fine. From basic to psychotherapy, all these teachings are correct. We can also take it into account that, you know, the rest of the things that Master Choa has taught to us is also correct.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So it's for you, what does a person of character mean after doing all the learnings?
Well, initially I should think that a person of good character means that he is nice, or the person is nice. But much later down the line, after 10 years of being on the path, my definitions have changed. A person of character could mean many different things, but it stems from a threefold approach, right? A person might be good, not nice, but good, right? And now that has yin and yang aspects. Let's say a person might be good in a sense that a person might serve his or her obligations, but at the same time, establish a boundary to say, okay, this is something that I cannot do, right? That's more on the side of love, more the side of the will. A person might go after his or her dreams and produce results, right? That could be a person of character, because those kind of people really inspire us, right? Inspire meaning to have some form of energy breathe into our system. So yeah, I mean, another aspect could be intelligence or light. When you say, okay, this person is really, really intelligent and he's really dedicated to his studies or research, and that person could also be of good character because he's dedicated to some form of research or study that later on proves to be beneficial to mankind, right? Instead of just being a good person, as in just being a loving person, nice person, it's the definition has changed along the years to be more of a, you know, rounded person. Even Master Choa says, right, the development of the virtues cannot be lopsided, right? So you can't just focus on loving kindness. You have to focus on all the virtues.
Yeah. Before I used to think,
something like that.
before I used to think that the person of character is just someone like who is loyal to the partner, because I would listen more this on a regard of like, oh, I want to find a person of character, and I used to feel like they have such low standards, but I had limited information on being a person of character. So there are a lot of virtues talked in pranic healing, and there might be few in theosophy as well. So what are those virtues?
Well, in pranic healing, we have the 5 virtues, which is related to the 3 aspects of the soul, right? So we have loving kindness, non-injury, generosity, and non-stealing, which is related to the virtues of divine love, right? We have accurate perception and correct expression, and under that there are many other virtues such as honesty and non-lying, which is related to the virtue of divine intelligence or divine light, right? And we have constancy of aim and effort, industriousness and non-laziness, and moderation and non-excessiveness, which is related to the virtues of divine power, right? Theosophy talks about being a man of character, or being a person of character, but one of the virtues that is repeatedly given in all of the books is the virtue of harmlessness, which in the pranic healing sense we can understand it as loving kindness. Now, the study is something like this: harmlessness does not mean that the person is very sterile. Does that make sense? Meaning that, for example, let's say the person is very helpful, very kind, very loving, but at the same time, when needed, the person can take severe action without any form of, let's say, malice, vindictiveness in their action, emotion, or thoughts. Now, you might have a question by saying, how can a person be severe and not be vindictive, right? So that is the paradox that we must understand, is that harmlessness, when being severe, would mean you're stopping someone from doing something wrong in the right amount of force.
Okay.
I think Master Danny in Achieving Oneness with a Higher Soul said, if somebody's attacking you with asparagus, you use asparagus. Right? You don't use a bazooka or a rocket launcher.
Yeah, but I think in real life, like it's kind of difficult to balance it. So an incident happened yesterday. I've kind of written it down so that I can ask you. So this was related to like not being that blunt. I remember you talking about it some time ago. So I'll just read it. I've always believed in the importance of being honest and straightforward, despite my mom's teaching about not hurting others. Working in a male-dominated field of computer science, I encountered a sexist remark yesterday and reacted emotionally, but I did try to think of my heart chakra, hoping to promote open communication, but that didn't go that way because I realized that now, especially after coming to pranic healing, like sometimes when I'm hurt, like before, I would take time to process the emotion. So then there would not be any any need to be honest. But now, since I feel my emotions so fast, like I just tell them, and then that tends to hurt other person. Like no matter how many compliments I give them after that. So after this, like, and during my meditation, I kind of realized that what I did was wrong. Like I should not have reacted, because I realized that after that, like it had an impact on my energy level. When that statement came, like I was not affected, but after I criticized the person, it had an impact. So how do we balance that?
Well, I mean, if you get remarks like that, you need to stand up for yourself, right? But you should also understand that that particular soul is the way that soul is, or the way he is. I mean, you can ask this question to my mom much later. I mean, I recommend inviting her to a podcast. But learning from my mom's experience, she also went through similar circumstances, right? But she always believed in fighting or making a stand for what she wanted in life, right? The thing is, you'll always, I mean, yeah, we live in a country where these remarks are sort of normalized towards women, right? So you need to make it a point that you stand up for yourself. You fight when, I mean, again, fight in the right amount of force. You don't go slap the person, right? Or swear at the person or be angry. And you also understand some people will be like this, the spiritual standpoint. But then again, because of their ignorance, you don't allow their ignorance to affect you.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, but it's kind of like a hard balance because it's such a thin line.
And yeah, it is. The thing is, it's like a habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you start getting used to practicing, let's say, letting go, practicing reflection, practicing standing up for yourself, it becomes like a second nature,
Yeah.
which I have realized to, it has, for me at least, when earlier on, when I was just starting pranic healing, saying no for me was the most difficult thing.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, if I just say, "Hey, I don't want to do it," my friends understand, because years and
Uh-huh.
years of saying, "Hey, I don't do that because this is this. I don't want to do that because this is this." So yeah, it
Mhm.
it works. I mean, it's a habit.
Okay, I just have a small exercise for the audience and, of course, for you as well. I just want you to close your eyes, and also
Okay.
the audience. I'll also do with all of you. I just want you to imagine your entire life flashing in front of you. And this is more from a point of view of, seeing which aspect of life you need to work more on, or when you die, like which aspect of life you would regret the most. Mm. And if the audience, if you need extra time, just pause the video, but Ritesh, you may open your eyes.
Okay.
Okay, of course, I don't want you to say like what came in your mind, but like when you're in spiritual path, you get a lot of like self reflections, right? Okay, let's imagine you got one right now. How would you work on it?
Well, you would put it into action, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What I've noticed is people who are like me, we tend to be a lot of the time in our heads. So we don't put things into action, even though when we get intuitive guidance or ideas, we don't put that into practice. So the main thing is to put it into action. Then
Okay.
again, I've seen chronic healers say, "Oh, what if I, you know, do it in the wrong way?" It does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
You just action. Then you figure out, right, what things worked on. That's good. If things didn't work out the way you planned, then you have time for another reflection, or
Yeah.
strategy to move forward. So putting into
Mhm.
action is most important.
Okay, I'll remember that next time. So it is often said that we are created for the evolution of God. So
Mhm.
what does evolution mean to God?
Oh, I mean, that's a very difficult question, and again, that's way up there, right? But what I can say is, like, when we go through regular life
Mm-hmm.
as ordinary human beings, and we work towards our purpose, we grow together with our family, our loved ones, and we chase after what we need to do. That is basically evolution,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I think um, even our teacher, Master Cho, has said that, compared to someone who goes up to the mountains and meditates and does spiritual practice, and someone who's a family person or family man, family woman, the
Mm-hmm.
family one man or the family person evolves faster than the one who went up to the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And according to my study in Theosophy, if you're not a highly evolved soul, like let's say an
Mm-hmm.
initiate or a saint or Paramahansa or a holy master,
Mm-hmm.
going up to the mountains does not benefit you that much, unless
Okay.
it's for, let's say, a retreat or a hike or once in a while thing,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah. So that's there. So now I want to talk about the solar system, because recently I found out that solar system also has reincarnations.
Mhm.
So what is it, and why do we need to know that?
I mean, it's not necessary to know, but from what I have learned from a certain acharya is that in the previous incarnation of the solar system or the solar logos mastered the virtue of divine light. So in this solar system, everything around us is imbued in divine intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Let me give you an example. The atoms have a certain molecule structure, right? When
Mm-hmm.
they I mean, when a certain object or things in matter have certain shapes and sizes or structures, if you zoom in at a very microscopic or an atomic level, you'll find certain structures that hold them in place,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is one example of intelligence. Our bodies have intelligence in them. The things we make have intelligence in them. Objects have intelligence in them. Every single thing in the solar system, let's say, theoretically, has intelligence in it. So, in the that's what it says in the books as well. So
Mm-hmm.
in the previous incarnation, the solar system mastered the virtue of divine intelligence, and this incarnation, the solar system is trying to master the virtue of love. Therefore, even on Earth, everything. I mean, most people obsess with love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. My parents didn't love me, for example. Right. My girlfriend didn't. My boss is not giving me this. I
Or
did so much.
sometimes God doesn't love me, which is like the
Yeah, exactly.
most
Why is there
hurtful
so much?
one.
Exactly. Why is there so much chaos in the world? So because you feel for humanity, right? If you look
Yeah.
at the different things out there, wars are happening, people are starving, there's so much suffering, and you feel that.
Mhm.
And according to the teacher, Master Choi used to say that if you feel, go see those things, and you feel in your heart, you keep that and use that as fuel to serve.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting. For me, just understanding that the last incarnation of sun was light, it kind of made me
Mhm.
realize that we live in an age like where it's called the technology, sorry, the information age, and so much information is available to us like without putting much effort. Even this, like, it wouldn't have been possible maybe in that last incarnation or even 200 years ago. So that kind of
Mhm.
made me feel very humble, like, because even sometimes like we say some smart thing and people are like, wow, you're so smart, you're so ahead of your time, but then those knowledge are also not my own knowledge, like, and they're kind of borrowed from someone else. Like even doing this podcast, like this technology wasn't created by mine. So I don't know, like it, and it kind of made me like more excited to go towards more light and
Mhm.
towards truth. So what is truth for you?
Mm, well, that's a very loaded question. Truth is basically expression of yourself correctly. That's is
Mm-hmm.
something I would say.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, truth is, if you look at from a spiritual parlance, it's basically light, right? Because let's say
Mm-hmm.
you're in a dark room and you turn on the light and you see what objects are there in the room,
Mm-hmm.
right? And truth has many different levels. Or in, pranic healing, there's the first level of truth, the second level of truth, and the third level of truth. I think in the basic book and in the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul book, there's like those have names in Philippines. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in Filipino language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So truth is something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Truth is
Yeah.
always dynamic. It's never static. For example, 300 years ago, we used to think that, at the edge of the sea, if you keep, rowing your boat straight towards the edge of the sea, you tend to fall.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. We discovered that, you know, the earth is a sphere. It's
Mm-hmm.
round.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the sun rises and sets. It's the earth that goes around the sun,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when it comes to truth, because it's dynamic, we tend to discover a lot more things as humanity evolves
Mm-hmm.
and developments. So truth is something like that, according to my understanding.
Okay, that is very interesting. So I have a question for you. Like in the last 10 years, like it's been 10 years for you. You've been into pranic healing.
Mhm.
What was one quality that you really had to work on, and it didn't come easy to you?
The humility.
It's so hard to
Well,
believe. I
yeah, I
think you're
mean,
lying.
no, humility. Because once I completed Ayurvedic yoga, it was my mom. I think I was walking. We used to live in Maharashganj, right? So we were walking to the stand where we take tempos to we were going somewhere. And while walking, she just said, "Son, Ritesh, you're being very prideful." And I was taken aback. It's like, how can I be prideful? Then I started reflecting, and I started, after 6 months or even a year after that, then I started to realize, oh, okay, I started thinking that pranic healing and Ayurvedic yoga is the only way in
Mm.
spirituality, the
Oh,
only right
okay.
way. That's the
Okay.
wrong perception. Spiritual schools and religion exists for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
whether we like it or not. They exist for a reason, right? These
Mm-hmm.
are all maps to the same destination.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There
Yeah.
was this one I think Swami that I sometimes talk with, and he's from the Osho school, right? And we were discussing, and we realized that we were talking about two different maps that lead to the same destination.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was another thing. Another thing was once I started understanding theosophical books, mental pride awakened because I started thinking, oh, I know these topics. I'm so great. It's not the case. You can.
Yeah.
I realized that knowledge is not power. Application of that knowledge is power, right? So how do you apply that
Okay.
knowledge? should be able to break down that complex information and apply it in your life. This is why I really like what Sriram Rajagopal has done, right? Sriram, sir. He has basically the base foundation of Theosophy. He has broken it down and given us in a very simple form in his book, Introduction to Theosophy, which is available on Amazon India, by the way. Please buy it. So,
is it in the, don't we have it in the foundation?
I think we should ask the trustees to bring it. It's a very interesting book. I gave it to one of the people in my office who really loves to read, and she understood the teachings in it, and she was quite in profound awe, which is very good to see. So pride was I'm still work in progress, right? I'm not going to say I'm the most humble person in the world, because sometimes even when I do healing and miraculous healing happens, I tend to remind myself it's because of God and the Guru. That's why in the our 9:15 meditations, a lot of people give me compliments, but it's because of God and the Guru. Without Master Choa, I would have never gotten into Pranic. Pranic healing wouldn't exist, therefore I wouldn't be in the spiritual path, right? I wouldn't meet the acharyas who have been so close to my heart. Yeah, so it's because of God and the Guru.
What's your take on that? Like in spirituality, I often hear like, oh, it's a good karma that you're here. But for me, like, I feel like when I go and when I'm planning my life, and if I have the best karma, I think the first best quality that will be given to me is the desire to improve rather than spirituality. So I somewhere don't agree with that statement. So what's your take on that?
Well, there's your own effort and there's the blessings of God and the Guru. Let's keep it in a twofold aspect, right? The universe exists because there is spirit and then there is matter, and they intertwine and existence happens, right? Even for us on the path, it is the blessing of God and the Guru, and it is also our effort. That's why there's a quote saying, you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make the horse drink the water.
Yeah.
Right? The Guru shows the path, but we have to walk it. But again, it's your effort, your free will, and then again, the blessings of God and the Guru. One of the very interesting discussions that I had with one of the Pranic healers, he's from the US, and we basically again, this is just a discussion. This is not written in books. This is just a theory.
Okay.
We basically agree that free will might just be, a way to make things easy, right? We have to evolve, right? So if you use your free will to do the right thing, you're basically accelerating your progress and accelerating your evolution, which is part of what you're supposed to do in the world, right? So you agree that free will is just a tool to make things easier. So there's your effort, and there's the blessing of God in the world.
Yeah. So this both qualitatively and quantitatively, do you think you're God?
Well, I don't know. I don't like to think I'm God. I'm not the capital God, but we have the potentiality to become godlike eventually not in this incarnation, but in the many future distant incarnation. Eventually. Okay. That's why if you notice, one of the Acharya says in the Ayurvedic yoga class, future saints.
Yeah, but
not present saints, future saints.
Yeah, but I think this should be said with a lot of what happened is so I had a doctor's appointment and the doctor looked very stressed, and I said, I'll give pranic healing and I can do it from a distance. And then he was like, oh, if you say things like this, then we have to conduct a meeting and check if I have God complex or not.
And no, it's something like this, right? It's how you approach these topics, right? For example, 200 years ago, when Nikola Tesla said, okay, electricity exists, people thought he was a witch.
Yeah.
Right? There's a type of energy that brings light into this glass ball, which is a bulb, right? People thought he was crazy. Even right now, it's how you approach the people. Let's say somebody is stressed, you say, hey, I do something called pranic healing, and if you're open to it, you can try.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, for example, if you're talking about pranic healing to somebody who's a mother, you say something like, okay, you can use pranic healing to, treat your child when they have fever or small illnesses. You can treat your husband if he has stress from the office. You can bless your house. If it's, let's say, a marketing team or a business team, you would say, okay, you can use meditation to to bless your goals and projects. We have seen the testimonials work like yada, yada, yada. So there's a way of approaching It's like a skill, right?
Okay.
Your way of approaching pranic healing to different people. You just don't say,
Yeah.
hey, I can heal you from a distance. They'll get, they'll get weirded out.
Yeah, I need to learn that skill. Firstly, I really want to thank you for something because just for your podcast, like I did some research on Theosophy, and now I think I'm a bit interested in it. But it was amazing to know that Theosophy had a few notable impact on global movements related to spirituality and social justice. What were they?
Well, one of the things that I know, I don't know anything about social justice, but one of the things that Theosophy basically brought to the West was the understanding of the seven principles, right?
Okay.
7 days of the week, 7 chakras, 7 notes in the music system. So something like that. So when this teachings came to the West, people started showing interest in spirituality in an esoteric way rather than an exoteric.
Okay. Yeah. With my research, I found out that they also had some movements related to child marriage. But what were those 7 principles?
So, in Theosophy, one of the basic things that we learn is the 7 rays, right? So, from, let's say, the point of singularity of the monad, they are divided into 7 rays, right? So, the 7 rays are ray of will and wisdom, the ray of love. The ray of will and power. Sorry, will and power. The ray of love and wisdom, the ray of creative intelligence, right? So these 3 rays have a lower correspondence, which is the ray of devotion, which is, the ray of concrete intelligence, which is representative and corresponding to the 3rd ray, the ray of devotion, which is related to the 2nd ray, the ray of organization and structure, which is related to the 1st ray. So these upper 3 rays mirror and have a lower correspondence, and you have a 4th ray called harmony, resolving conflict through conflicting factors. So the ray of harmony or balance. So these are the 7 rays, and again, these 7 rays can be seen in existence in every single thing. Right? Souls tend to have a certain ray dominant, and the combinations of other ray which might be lesser in activity. Right? So because of these teachings, people started seeing the resemblance of the number 7. Right? 7 days a week, 7 notes of the music system, 7 colors, right?
Yeah, and it's just a coincidence maybe, but this is the 7th episode.
All right, so according to Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda, there are no accidents. So.
I do see numbers sometimes, and I try not to be too attached to it because especially one time in my life, like I really needed those numbers. Like that was my only source of guidance. But do they really have a meaning?
A senior pranic healer did tell me about angel numbers, right? So while driving my scooter, I would see that there are like 1111, 555, 888, 666. So all of these numbers, especially the ones that appear in a threefold manner, tend to have certain meanings.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, I remember before getting the job that I had, I used to keep seeing 555, which signifies a change is coming.
Yeah.
A change is coming. So, which is quite strange. So these numbers tend to have meaning, and if you see them, you may want to reflect on it. Not just see, oh, the angels are with me, and you don't do anything about it. You sit down and meditate on it, right? What does these numbers mean?
Yeah, I keep seeing 4. So if anyone knows what that means, please let me know.
Yeah, so I won't tell you the answer, but you might want to meditate on it.
Yeah, but for me right now, like since I have other ways of receiving guidance, I don't need those numbers that much, but still I see them. But anyways, thank you, angels, for sending me those numbers. Like I want to go back to the point, like where you said, like there's no coincidence says in life. I think that is very important to understand because like it just changes your perspective on life. Did you always have this point of view?
Nah, I was a very naive. I would say I was a very nice kid. I wanted to be a good son, a good grandson, a good student. But I was very naive as a person, meaning that because I saw the world as sunshine and rainbows all the time, I expected people to be sunshine and rainbows, and that got me into a lot of negative situations. But then again, much later, I would realize that these things didn't happen to me, but for me.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think a very famous spiritual person says life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So in case in point, much later when I took the higher soul class, I realized that I chose my family because of the karma that I had, that the karma that I needed to work out. I choose my country, my community, the people I meet at certain points in my life, the physical body that I have, the emotional state of the body that I have, the mental capacity that I have. So that's like in video games, you have a base level character, right? You have a certain stats that you have to choose. So it's something like that. And over the journey in the video game, your character starts becoming stronger.
Yeah.
So it's something like that. So there are no accidents.
Yeah, that is pretty fascinating. So, what happens like when we start cultivating good virtues? Like, does that change our energy or auras?
Of course, it does. I realize. I think after Ayurvedic yoga, I used to have a very toxic relationship with this one girl, and after doing Ayurvedic yoga, she just vanished. No contact, no anything. And another thing is like in Ayurvedic yoga, I did it in 2014. So the first virtue we practice is loving kindness, right? So I realized my friends who give me calls at 3 a.m. in the night, in the morning, they started disappearing. Right. So it's very interesting in a sense that how life changes once you start cultivating the virtue.
I have one question. Like, you're also a model, right?
Oh yeah, I used to be.
Oh, okay. But anyways, like when you're modeling, like you're kind of surrounded with good looking people and all of that, and with that, there can be like a lot of body image issue. Like I wouldn't assume, but you have kind of unrealistic expectation of what a certain beauty should look like. So how do you define beauty now?
Everybody in the world is beautiful in their own way. That's how I see it now. I used to have a very obsessive perception about fitness. If I were to answer your question, I used to think that everybody should be under a certain body fat percentage and a very low body fat percentage, right? Over the years, I started to know, like, not everything is about working out. It's not everything is about like being good. So at this point, beauty for me is more towards the focus of how one's character is. Again, coming back to the topic, right? Physical beauty fades away. You have to realize physical beauty fades away eventually. Inner beauty sticks.
Yeah, but working out does help staying beautiful.
I mean, yeah, you should work out, take care of your physical body, right?
Yeah.
Whatever happens, you should go on walks, go for a swim. Not just the gym. I like gym because that's my way of taking care of my body, lifting weights, pushing myself to the absolute limit. That is what I like to do. Right? But other people like yoga, other people like bicycling, right? Rowing boats. I don't know, like whatever keeps your physical body healthy. You have to do it.
Okay, so I just have one last question for this, and then we'll do the rapid fire round. So our guru has also talked about creating your own ways of healing. I mean, those who are interested in pranic healing, please come. We need more people. But for people like who maybe are not interested in pranic healing but still want to heal, what are few advice you'd like to give them?
So people who are not healing, but they want to heal.
Yeah, we're not pranic healing.
Okay, if they're not pranic healers, first of all, take a pranic healing course. Right?
It's so easy. It's so much easier.
It's so easy. It's so much easy. It's a 2-day course. They teach you the general principles. And if you notice, the name of the basic pranic healing books is The Miracles Through Pranic Healing.
Yeah.
Not basic pranic healing, meaning you can take the basic course and you can perform miracles. Again, I'm not saying it'll be a miracle, but you have to take the course, practice, improve your skill. If you want to join healing, I would say, if you want to join healing because you want to take care of somebody or take care of yourself, I recommend pranic healing. It's simple, it's easy to follow. If a not so intelligent person like me can understand and apply the teachings, people can do wonders, right?
It's so easy. Like I think learning all the skills, like learning to play a guitar, like those skills are much harder. But we are blessed with the teachings. Thank you, Guru. He's right behind you. Thank you, Guru. I love you. Yeah. So now let's get into the rapid fire round. Let's get to know you a little more. So 3 things that make you happy.
3 things that make me happy. Spiritual practice, talking with my friends, reading books.
Okay.
And I'm
So
such a boring person.
boring is nice. 3 virtues or qualities you value the most.
I think do I have to answer in a spiritual way, or can I just answer in a normal way?
Any way you want.
Okay, I think loyalty, right?
Yeah.
Loyalty is one. The virtue of understanding oneself and others, that's another one. Because feeling understood is a different kind of peace, right?
Yeah.
Even I'm not perfect, and I tend to place a lot of my value or a lot of my identity. I mean, you're not supposed to do that, but there's a part of me that still does, on the people that I love. And when they understand you, that's a different kind of peace. That's really is a different kind of peace. So the virtue of understanding, loyalty, virtue of understanding, and I think the virtue of being straightforward. I really don't like it when people beat around the bush. Just tell me the thing, right? Again, that's not my approach with dealing with people. But when I expect people dealing with me, just be straightforward. It's fine.
Yeah,
You know?
I think I realized that that's the hardest thing that we have to learn being in this environment. If we were in a mountain if we were in a mountain mastering this virtue would be a lot easier.
Yeah. Because there's nobody to test you, right?
Yeah.
There's nobody to test you. And then you come back to the city and you realize, you didn't master it much. So
yeah, and especially in Nepal, in foreign countries, that thing happens a little less, where your body shamed in public. Over here, as soon as you meet a relative after a long time, the first thing they talk about is your body. But it kind of teaches you, it kind of trains your mind to become more strong. So I like criticisms. So if you want to give me more criticisms, you're welcome. Oh yeah, regarding this also, I had a question.
Yeah.
So I want to be less critical of other people, right? But then after that, I don't want criticisms to stop coming to me. Because I realize for me I love criticisms and it really helps me grow. Sometimes of course it does change my energy, it makes I have to do some purifications and all of that. But other than that, how do we make sure that we keep getting constructive criticisms in life?
Well, you bless the world with divine light. That's one way. I think that's what I did, right? Another thing is practicing loving kindness, mental loving kindness. Again, people say they practice mental loving kindness, but I don't think they do, because they say, okay, I have this problem. And I say, are you practicing mental loving kindness? And they say, yes. And then why is it happening? Right? It's like saying, hey, I'm falling down. And I ask, are you walking properly? And they say, yes, but they keep falling down. So that's the caveat in this conversation, right?
Because I realize sometimes it happens automatically. A few weeks ago, I had a realization that, if people would hear everything I think, then I would be termed as the worst person in the world. But now it's a constant effort. But I think it also happens the more critical you are of yourself on kind of useless things, the more critical you are of the world. So it's kind of a reminder to love yourself.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. So if you could spend a day with any historical figure from Theosophy or Pranic Healing, who would it be?
I think, can I take two people in this example for Pranic Healing?
Yes.
So in Pranic Healing, I think I would love to spend a day, if possible, a month or a year with Master Choa and Mang Mike. Right? Because I hear a lot of stories about, Shriram Sumi, all the acharyas talking about how Master Choa and Mang Mike helped them. Right? So that would be an interesting day to spend. From Theosophy, I think it would be Chohan Kuthumi. Because he's destined to be the next world teacher. I'm not going to say it in layman terms what the world teacher means. Google for yourself. But people who know the office of the world teacher has a very significant importance, and there's a certain title given to that great soul. So I think spending a day with Chohan Kuthumi would be, or Chohan KH. Sorry, I took the name. Would be a great learning experience. Right?
Yeah, one day it will definitely be a reality.
The one who is called Kuthumi is a member of that group of beings who oversee and guide the evolutionary development of humankind on planet Earth. These ascended masters and higher initiates are essentially gestalts of consciousness without personality individuation, but they may choose to have some expression of physicality whilst they traverse the path of Earth service on the way of the higher evolution. Kuthumi has chosen to operate through the Mayavirpa or body of manifestation, which is created by an act of the will and visualization. Others of the masters choose to continue working through the dense physical body after taking the fifth initiation of revelation, however that body has been transformed by the light supernal, and any of the high initiates may create a holographic projection for interacting with humanity. These ascended masters are variously called the elders of the race, the Lodge of Masters, the spiritual hierarchy, and the Great White Brotherhood, refer to who are the spiritual hierarchy. Kuthumi is one of the 7 Chans or Lords of the 7 Rays. The 7 rays are the universal energies emanated by the 7 most primary aspects of the Godhead for this universe. See the 7 rays explained. In that role and responsibility, the Chans transmute from a higher level through their consciousness the focalized energies of those divine aspects for the benefit and progress of all life on this planet.
Your favorite pranic healing technique, which you can share?
Psychotherapy, because that is what I really love doing. It's like there's a very, if pranic healers who are watching, something that really helped me make the healings quite effective was scanning the chakral web and the petals. I mean, not the petals, the 4 sections. And in crystal healing, you're taught 6, but in psychotherapy, you're taught about the 4 sections of the chakra, right? Scanning that and trying to the energy and trying to deduce what kind of energy it is. And if you're able to disintegrate it at a deeper level, the healing becomes very, very effective. So psychotherapy is my favorite technique, or favorite teaching.
I'll definitely try that after this.
Yeah. It's given in the book. You can do that.
So your best time of the day for spiritual practice?
I would say early morning, even though I don't like doing it in the early morning. I'm not a morning person, but I have to be, right? So that's the will aspect of the soul, the will, character, virtue of the soul. You have to get up in the morning and do spiritual practice because it's more practical, right? It's not that sun has more energy, and I mean, it could be, I don't know, but when you get up and do your spiritual practice, Aradik yoga, or Aradik practices, you're ready for the day, right? You have energy to deal with people. You have awareness to catch yourself from breaking the virtues or practicing the virtues. So in the morning, it makes more sense.
Even I'm trying to be a morning person again. Before I was a morning person, it was my job to wake all my friends up during exams. But now,
okay, that's nice.
But now, over the years, that kind of changed. But hopefully, it will come back. And so rank in terms of importance. Number 1 being the most important, number 3 being the least important. Self-discipline, compassion, and wisdom.
Self-discipline, compassion, and wisdom, right?
For you at this stage of your life.
I think first compassion, and then wisdom, and then self-discipline. The reason is, if you do not have compassion, you're not going to see other people as people.
Yes.
Right? Again, once you start seeing people as people, once you have compassion, you can use wisdom to help them or serve them. Or you can have the wisdom to stay away. That's also one very important thing, right? People are suffering, you want to help, and you do healing, it doesn't work. Again, it can be a mess. Some people, you let them be. You love them, but you let them be from afar, right? And then self-discipline is very, very important, because once you have self-discipline, you move forward or you stop at the right time, and it's consistent.
Okay. And in terms of daily practices, meditation, reading spiritual textbooks, and community service.
I would say community service, because I love organizing healing camps. I mean, the trustees have been really, really generous in that for us, and the executive committee in our local foundation, is that I love going to free healing camps and being of service. So I think community service, and then meditation, and then reading.
Okay. Yep. A book that has greatly influenced your spiritual journey, and one also for people who don't believe in pranic healing. This is especially for my dad. He has a lot of books, but now when I look at those books, I'm like, oh my God, they are not spiritual books. But still, I would want him to read more spiritual books. So for someone who has not read any spiritual book.
For people who do not believe in pranic healing, I mean, I have a lot of close acquaintances, a lot of close friends who do not believe in pranic healing, and that's okay. And that's completely okay. the thing is, uh, I have seen in my life that once you change positively for the better and people start seeing that change, they start coming into pranic healing. Very strange. For example, my grandmother, I live in I live in a joint family, right? So my grandmother gets annoyed with me because I'm not doing Ayurvedic yoga. Does that make sense?
That's
So
nice.
once you start changing internally, once people start seeing that change, people start gravitating towards spirituality automatically because you are the anchor, right? So if you want to change the world, you change yourself, and the world will change with you. That's
Yeah.
the secret that people don't tend to understand. They said, okay, I need to intervene, I need this person to change. And hello, you need to ask yourself, what are you doing? Right? Are you doing something that contributes to that person not changing? So you just, the only thing in this world you can control is yourself. So you change for the better, people will change for you, or
Yeah,
change
that's
with
true.
you. Sorry.
That's true. And even if we learn about Master Hermes' life, even it took her 5 years to heal her dad. So I think that
Yeah.
story is very inspiring. It kind of gives you perspective, because that is where you need to test your patience. But still, that, like, I've had some changes. Please read one spiritual book. This is a request for him.
So, I mean, even from that story, right? Master Hermes emphasizes on the virtue of being patient. Right? You
It's so
become
hard.
patient. You understand. Yeah, I mean, it is
I
hard,
can do
but
it. I can
again,
do it.
it's yeah, exactly. You can do it. Even I think the second time hearing that story, I saw a lot of changes with my own relationship with my parent. Right. So being patient with your parents is very, very important, because you have to realize they are leading life from years and years and years and years of being in the unknown. Right. At that time, there was no Google, there was no internet, so they don't know how the world is actually like. So they did the best that from whatever they understood about the world. So
Yeah.
we have to be patient with our parents. We
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah, I'll try my best. And also, one more thing, like, I do remember you saying that bringing light doesn't mean just reading spiritual books. It also
Exactly.
means reading other books. So maybe that can be also like a motivation.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should emphasize on that point, right?
Yeah.
I think the second time, I think that was the day of my job interview. Acharya Hermi had come to Nepal, and she was emphasizing pranic healing as a way of life, right?
Yeah.
We, as pranic healers, we do meditation, we do healing, we do spiritual practice. But if you cannot serve our community, our country, or humanity as a whole, then we have failed as pranic healers, right? We
Yeah.
we at we see hungry people on the street, people are suffering, they can't afford education. What are we as a community of pranic healers doing? Are we setting up things like, I mean, we have the feed the hungry camp, that we do. I think we do other charitable other charitable works as well. But we should aspire to grow
Yeah.
the impact every single year, right?
Yeah.
So pranic healing has to be a way of life in your life. You can't just be going to group meditations and practicing loving kindness. Then you have to practice loving kindness every single day. You have to practice the 5 virtues every single day. It is difficult, and I'm not an expert. No way I'm an expert. But you strive to practice those virtues every single day. You strive to understand, strive to be loving, strive to pursue your purpose. You strive to read, you strive to reflect, right? It has to be a way of life. Then your life starts to change. Then you notice you're being put in front of a crowd, and you're being given the opportunity of spreading twin hearts, doing practices, right? If there are some pranic healers who feel like, I want to do service at a greater level, make pranic healing a part of your life. You'll become in the forefront of because the guru and the higher beings see potential and they push you forward,
Yeah.
right?
Because
So pranic healing has to be a way of life.
Yeah, especially while doing the advanced course, I literally had tears in my eyes, because I was like, oh my God, like, now I can literally heal people or be an instrument of healing by just sitting in my house. Like, it's so easy. Like, sometimes I cannot believe it. Like, what the teachings that we have learned, it's so important. And I have one question for you. It was not meant
Sure.
to be in the rapid fire round, but why did you choose this topic? Because normally I would select topics for the guest, but in your case, you chose the topic mastering virtue, and I think I know the reason for it, and I really want you to tell people, and I might be wrong as well.
I mean, you might have you might be a pranic healer and you might see people who are more successful than you, who are more, prosperous, or who are more peaceful than you have to realize that their level of mastery, again, it doesn't apply to everybody, right? Some people get powerful, rich, or famous through other unwholesome means, right? But people who are actually like really successful, they're doing what they're doing. Like for example, Tony Robbins, right? He does meditation stuff.
He's like,
Aside that, he has many charitable foundations. He has I think a mission called No One Goes Hungry or something like that, where he feeds like thousands and thousands.
Billion. It's a billion people. But his story is very inspiring.
Yeah, exactly. So if you were to look at these kind of people who have charitable organizations, they might not do meditation, they might not know about energy healing, they might not even believe in subtle energies, right? But the reason they're making an impact is their mastery of virtue, right? They're successful, so that is a given that constancy of fame and effort, industrious and non-laziness, and moderation, non-excessiveness is at the peak of mastery, right? They have so business, of course, they know how to be constant. Of course, they know how to be constant. Have constancy of aim and effort, right? They're rich, meaning they're also generous. That's a given.
Yeah,
the people who have been successful in the right manner.
Yeah, I thought you chose this topic. I mean, that's a very nice reason. I thought you chose this topic because of law of karma. I thought that if you talk about this topic, maybe you thought that maybe you would be able to master your virtue even more.
Exactly. So there's the law of karma, but you have to realize virtues are the energy of the soul. Right? So in the higher classes, I think purification or mastery of virtues, or being a good person or developing character, is like stated as the second pillar of a higher practice in pranic healing. Right? So you want your life to change, you want your life to be better, or you want to be protected from the vicissitudes of life, have a good character. Right? Then that'll help you. Because just having good character does not mean life will get, all problems will go away. The thing is, you'll be able to deal with life in a more mature manner. In dealing with life in a manner, you're more empowered. That's what I've understood from it.
Yeah, it's also like a numbing effect. I realize whenever I go to a retreat or any spiritual event, your brain, it kind of feels numb. Like I'm sure like there's a energy reason for it. Like it's mostly because of the light coming from the divine being. But and during that time, like, no matter who says what, like I'm not affected by it. So I think that is also why I want to do more meditation, because I want that numbing effect to stay with me.
But emphasize on purification. Purification is very, very important. For example,
it is.
How my life has changed after emphasizing on the virtues so much is that, in the when I'm doing healing starts becoming much more faster and rapid.
Right?
So that's focusing on loving kindness. If I get a difficult case to deal with, I don't make thought forms immediately. Right? I say, with the blessing of God and the Guru, I can help this person. If I can't, it's fine. It's fine. It didn't work. It's fine. Right? So you need to have that understanding. So mastery of the virtue is very, very important. Another thing is, I'm at a level in my life where I can live very comfortably, right, at the age of 28. So, I mean, that is because of a certain virtue of mastery. I mean, mastery of a certain virtue. So, the mastery of the virtues or purification or character building is very, very important if you want your life to be better. Right?
It will get better. I mean, it is getting better. Okay, so one of your favorite quotes from Theosophy and Pranic Healing.
Okay, Pranic Healing. This is my favorite quote. It has been my favorite quote since the past 5 years. Is when Master Choa says, "Manifest your greatness."
Okay, wow.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I think in one of the videos he says that you're destined to be successful. Why? Because we can scan energy, we can bless our projects, we can use energy to basically manifest anything, right? Depending on our karmic circumstances again. So because we know these esoteric things, or we know these teachings and tools and techniques, where he says you're destined to be successful, strive to be the best, right? So I really love this quote, is manifest your greatness. Right? It's basically saying you're all pranic healers and Ayurvedic yogis are great eventually. Again, there's a caveat. Eventually.
No, I'm already great. I'm just joking. I wish. But yeah, and by the way, like, you have such a nice photo of Master, like, he's looking really good there.
Yeah, I think like above that we have kept like a tanka of Lord Mahaguruji meaning.
Okay.
So that's something we do. I mean that's advice. I see, like, even in the center there's like Lord Mahaguruji meaning in the photo of our teacher, right? So okay. So favorite quote from Theosophy is like, in Nepal we have the culture of believing in astrology in a fanatical way, right?
Yeah.
So when I came to Pranic Healing, I realized that once you start doing spiritual practice and you start evolving, your higher soul, if you want to know what the higher soul is, please take the Achieving Oneness course or study about it, Google it, right? So the higher soul takes control rather than astronomical factors, right? The planets, movement of the planets, or something like that, or the stars, right? So in this book, at the back of it, there's a very favorite quote that I have, and it's given in the books, right? So this is talking about astrological signs. In each of the signs, we shall find him, the soul, surmounting his natural tendencies, controlling and governing his destiny, and demonstrating the fact that the stars incline but do not control.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So from my understanding, what I understood from this is you make your destiny rather than certain factors. Right? You make your destiny. So that's something that I really love from this book. So every astrological sign has a certain esoteric significance that you have to do with, right? So, and the secret is that you already have the energies of all the 12 zodiac signs within you. Only one is more dominant. Okay, so according to this, like, which is the most dominant? Is it the sun sign, moon sign, or the ascendant? All three of them. You already have the energies of all three of them, plus the 12 zodiac signs, right? So, in Nepal, I think we do the moon sign. In the West, you do the sun sign. In certain parts of the world, they do ascending. So, these three signs are very, very important, right? That's another thing for reflection. But a soul already has the 12 energies within them, and given when they incarnate on a certain month, one energy is more dominant. Okay. Right. Okay, one last question. What's the weirdest thing people have told you after learning that you're a Pranic healer? They get very intimidated because of me. I mean, not in a bad way, right? They get intimidated, and then once they get to know me, they say, okay, this person is fun to hang out with. Okay, so now let's end with a blessing. People are in Nepal, visualize Nepal. So before we bless, let us ask for divine blessings. Take a deep breath. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our spiritual teacher, Master Chuakoksoi, Lord Mahaguruji Meaning, to all the great ones, all the great spiritual elders seated beside the throne of God, all the great Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, to all the great Chohans, especially Chohan Kuthumi, Chohan Moria, to all the great Holy Masters, Holy Master Duwalkul, to all the great Arhats, Holy Gurus, Holy Angels, to all the archangels, all the spiritual helpers, to our higher soul. We humbly invoke for the blessings of divine love, divine light, and divine power for our country, Nepal, or whichever country they're visualizing, or part of the world. We humbly invoke the blessings of divine guidance, divine help, and divine mercy, the blessings of good health, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. With gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you. Visualize the map. Close your eyes. We'll wait for a while because there's a plane going above my house. May all the people in the plane be safe. Yeah, may all the people in the plane be safe. So visualize the map of Nepal. Be still, be aware. May every sentient being, every person, every being throughout Nepal, within Nepal, be blessed with divine light, with spirituality and illumination. May this blessing of divine light anchor itself into the minds of every person, every being. May the air that we breathe be permeated with this divine light. May the animal kingdom within our country be permeated with divine light. May this blessing provide us the insight to do what is right, to realize our shortcomings, or realize the way forward. May every person, every being be permeated with divine light. May all sentient beings throughout Nepal, within Nepal, be blessed with divine love, with divine kindness, with great joy and happiness. May every person, every being, their hearts be permeated with divine love. May the magnetic force in the blessing of divine love bring all Nepalese people together as the one Nepali race, which is the extension of the one human race. Let it bless us with the understanding, patience, and realization that we are one. We are one regardless of our circumstances, our beliefs, our caste, our religion, our creed, our thoughts or emotions. We are one. May the people of Nepal, every person, every being, be blessed with divine oneness. May they be soothed of their pain, sorrow, suffering, or sickness. May every person, every being, the waters of our country, the plant kingdom that we have within the country be blessed and permeated with divine love. So be it. May every person, every being throughout Nepal be blessed with divine power, made empowered to do what is right and refrain from unwholesome actions, behavior, and thoughts. May the will of every person, every being be one and aligned with the will of God. So be it. Lastly, visualize people, not just in pranic healing, but every community, every person, every being, every institution, serving those who need this service, feeding people, bringing good policies, living in one common humanhood. Not just talking about doing something good, but actually manifesting this goodness. May this blessing be to all. May the blessing of divine power permeate the bodies of all human beings, the physical etheric bodies, the soil of our country, and the mineral kingdom. So be it. So be it, and so it is. Blessings of God be with you and with all. Blessings of my Guru be with you and with all. So be it. Thank you for your priceless blessings, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our spiritual teacher, Master Chokuksway, Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, who in Nepal we know as Buddha Padmasambhava Guru Rinpoche, to all the great Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all the great Chohans, Holy Masters, especially Chohan Kuthumi, Chohan Moria, to Holy Master Dwalpul, thank you. To all the saints, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers, thank you. To our higher soul, we thank you for your priceless blessing. With gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. May God's and Guru's blessings be with you and your entire family. And may you continue reading more books so that we can get more wisdom without having to read them.
I think my objective would be to, help people understand these teachings. So not in a negative way, because I've realized that once you start reading Theosophy, your mental pride increases. So to help people understand the teachings and apply it in their own life. So, that would be the purpose.
And hopefully we'll have you again in the future.
Of course, in your 70th episode.
Hopefully, because honestly, as soon as we fixed the podcast, I had so many questions. My higher soul were asking me so many questions. So, I need to make my higher soul happy. So hopefully we'll do that in the future. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
And thank you, Ojushi, for this effort. You have actually started what you wanted to do. So keep at it. And always remember that use the virtues as your guideline. So, you won't get lost. And remember, everything that happens, not everything, but everything that happens to you is a blessing of God and the Guru.
Yes, and he's right.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. He's right there. Only the physical body. But you have to remember the spiritual Guru. Try to discover who he is as a person, as an energy.